Enhanced brand content or A-plus content is extremely important to being successful as an Amazon seller. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating a creative member of my team's walking through step-by-step on how they design each one of these graphics and how they make A-plus content. My name is Stephen Pope and I'm my Amazon guy. And right here on the left, this is the finished product. I'm going to scroll through that. So this is what we're going to be making today. And the video demonstration of this is going to take about 40 minutes. It's a lengthy video. I'm going to hit play on that now to get started. And the reason I'm showing this is to demonstrate how much effort goes into making enhanced brand content. So on the screen here, and this is already sped up, mind you, and still going to take 40 minutes to go through. They went into Seller Central. They picked out the ASIN and some contents that we've got made for the design team to get started. And they're going to start looking at all the files, getting familiar with everything, and then starting to create and edit some graphics. So there's a lot of things that A-plus content does for you as a seller. It demonstrates the product in a way that you can't do from a pure photo, right? So you can see all these photos that are raw shots taken, and our creative team is just going through them all. Now here we're Googling it, we're looking at the website, we're pulling from Facebook, we're grabbing a logo, we're downloading it, just trying to see what assets are available. There's a lot of asset research involved. And the reason all this asset research is done is because there's a lot of different possible modules that can come about in A-plus content. So here we're in Photoshop now, and we've bummed the logo off of Facebook. It's now into Photoshop and looks pretty good. We're sizing it for the logo module right now. You can see this being sized up and down. Note that you can put keywords behind each one of your photos on enhanced brand content or A-plus content, which can be very beneficial. So there's also going to be some translation in this particular design where we're posting this not to the English market. And so some of that translation has to be looked up or translated. So my team has the ability to build enhanced brand content for Europe and USA and all of the other different marketplaces as well. And we are using a simple Google Translate in this particular instance. And we're going from German to English in this particular sequence here. I like enhanced brand content as a way to gain new customers. Now, notice here, we're putting the keywords into the image alt text location. Most people do not do that. That's probably the number one mistake people make when they make enhanced brand content. It's not putting keywords behind the alt text of a photo. And that can be really, really important. And that's because the SEO juice that you get from having those keywords behind the alt text is extremely important. The number two mistake people usually make is not having enough copy on the listing. Now, sometimes we'll get a design request where they don't want to have a lot of copy outside the graphics, and we'll work around that, of course. Less text does tend to convert better from our experience, but more text will pull more people to the listing. And that's through SEO and keywords and all the benefits you get from having lots of text. Of course, your title and your bullets and have more SEO impact than the alt text of an A-plus content module or copy in the A-plus content. And in fact, Amazon claims they don't even index A-plus content. I know that's false though, because we've tested putting Spanish on an English listing, put Spanish only behind one single photo, didn't have Spanish anywhere else, and the listing indexed for Spanish. So it can be very interesting. All right, so we've got the logo done so far, and now we're working on the next graphic, trying to figure out, okay, what would make sense to put into our next module? There are so many different module options you have when you build enhanced brand content or A-plus content. And so that it makes a lot of sense to test things, to say, okay, all right, so we're gonna take this root item. This is really cool to watch. See the designer going slowly but surely circling around this product, and they're going to cut the image out of the graphic. This is so cool and neat to see. It's painstaking work though. Look at her go pixel by pixel on this. Yeah, this is why you need to hire a professional. That's a lot of complicated design work right there, but it pays dividends. It makes it look really, really nice when you do that. So it's totally worth it. By the way, my Amazon guy, we charge $500 to do an A+ content design. Just go over to myamazonguy.com and select a purchase. All we need from you is a few photos and you tell us which ASINs to put it on. All right, so now the designer played with the lighting. Notice how the lighting got changed. All right, so now we're going to do kind of the same thing here where we're going around the ball, trying to get the shape so we can cut it out, get the shape of that item there. I'm not a designer myself, so I'm talking about this as a business owner and fascinated by some of the changes our design team is making here. It makes that item pop. See that pop come from the lighting changes there? So again, cutting things out. So it really helps if you have some good, high quality, raw imagery to start with when you're building out an A+ design. But as you build the modules, now we're testing some color with some red to see if, hey, would red be good, touching up those corners there, be a good banner option. I'm kind of curious to see the finished product again. So here's the finished product. So we didn't end up going with red. Maybe the design team was using red just to see if there was any additional edging to be done. And then they got rid of the red when they made the finished product. It's entirely possible. Doing the same thing. Yeah, I think that actually is what the designer's doing here. They're using the red as a way to validate that there's not any additional things to cut off the graphic. So when you're building out A+ content, designers, there's really two components to an A+ content, right? There's the design aspect, and then there's the technical implications of that design. If you choose a good design, you're going to have the capacity to increase your sales, right? And there's a few different ways this happens. Some color correction on screen here. Some good color correction. That looks really good. And it can be done through the keywords that are implemented, and it also can be done through the modules that are chosen, right? So if we pull up that finished project, having all these modules show up can emphasize key features, can improve average order value because you buy additional products, can emphasize how many products are involved, right? So there's a lot of different products that are involved. Sometimes you got a kit. You got to emphasize each one of these components and pieces. All right, so this image is being saved. And we do save all these raw images and graphics. So if you wanted to repurpose these for another project, we'll send those raw assets over upon request as well. And let's say you need to switch out a module at a later point once you've published this. Very easy to do so. You just go back into Seller Central and edit it there. So if you need, let's say you switched one of your items in your kit, you no longer have one of those products, you got to swap it out. Boom, super easy to do so. Just grab that one module, switch it out. So there's a lot of different modules that you can use. There's modules that help with heavy text, modules that help with limited text, or a series of graphics. Maybe you got a graphic that doesn't have a high res. Well, maybe you need to do a smaller size on that module and emphasize it a different way. But we'll take the graphics and try and make them work into as big of a module as possible. The goal of A+ content is traffic and conversion, but a lot of the times there's some overlooked aspects to this. So, for example, I'm going to speed this up just a tiny bit. Looks like there's a break here. All right, some more translation. All right, so now we're looking at, this is one of my favorite modules right here. You've got additional items that you can click on, and that can help because you link to those other products. And a consumer might come in and compare and contrast and find the right product for themselves, or they may buy multiple products because they like what they see and it's going to improve your average order value. So back to that module question, if you have a lot of space taken up, typically on a regular website, like an e-commerce website, it's usually not a good thing, right? You usually want to be, here's my one button, go buy for me, because you're trying to reduce friction. You want to get the consumer to the checkout funnel. On Amazon, however, that's the complete opposite. And that's because when you're on Amazon, you have a lot of competing factors. Go to your Amazon listing right now. Just look at it. And you're going to see 100 different rabbit holes to go down. You're going to have advertising from your competitors. You're going to have Amazon pushing other categories. You're going to even have Kindle advertisements or whatever else program Amazon's pushing. There's real estate on your listing to cause the consumer to leave your item. So A+ content, as a result, should be lengthy, not short. The more room your A+ content takes, the more likely you're going to keep the consumer on your listing thinking about your product. That's really important to think about because, again, in regular e-commerce, you want them to get through that checkout funnel as quickly as possible. And you're doing the opposite on Amazon. You're trying to keep them on your content as long as possible. All right, so here the designer is going to unsplash.com to grab some splash imagery or some stock photos, if you will. And we're looking for people exercising. What could we do with an exercising shot to add to this A+ content, to add some lifestyle humanization? Very important to humanize your product. If I'm a consumer and I'm going to make a purchase of your item and you never show a human using it, that's a cardinal sin. You have to show your product being used by your envisioned target demographic, right? Because the target demographic needs to envision themselves using your product to make that purchase. All right, so we got a little bit more translation here. You can see a lot of that work going on. Okay, so now we're going to be putting some text into the graphic. And we're trying to stay on brand standards, so we're grabbing that. Notice how the designer grabbed that ink from the logo to add text that matches those brand standards. So we tested the lighter color blue. We're testing the darker color blue to see what looks better, what makes more sense. And she's moving the text around. Going to go with both colors because there's two colors in the logo. This is why whenever you build A+ content, it's really important to provide your logo and any brand standards that you might have to your designer. Very good kerneling here. I really like that. I used to be a television reporter, so kerneling is the spacing of the lettering, especially as it relates to other space in the graphic. So this is a really good job in spacing that out, in my opinion. I'm curious what she's doing right now. I'm pulling up the finished product. So this is what she's going to end up with on the left there. And so she plays around with the text quite a bit. You can see she's getting closer to that finished product there. She's like, that text isn't going to work with that color. Let me try it all in the same color. Boom. Okay, now it's in white. Okay, let's try the top in white, the bottom in white. See all the iterations the designer goes through to see what option is going to make the most sense. Really interesting to see that in real time. All right, we're getting pretty close to that finished product there. I'll pull that back. Actually, I'm going to minimize that. And this is, so far, we're 2 modules in. 2 modules so far, guys, where we've just got the logo done and the main logo and the main module to demonstrate all of the items that come in this package. So, and we still have 20 minutes left of design work. sped up, mind you. We usually spend a few hours building an A+ content to give you some idea of how long it takes. Usually 4.5 to 5 hours on average to give you an idea. And that's when we know what we're doing, right? So like if you don't have Photoshop skills and you're trying to replicate this, you're going to be in over your head for sure. Don't recommend it. I've built A+ content where I just kind of took stuff and plugged and played it, but it doesn't do it justice. You got to have this graphic work, which we've seen here. Play with the colors, make it on brand, add in all of these features and whatnot. All right, so we're playing again with. Notice how she rotated the graphic around, playing with the spacing again, looking for ways to demo the product. All right, we got some features, some bullet features to kind of express, what's beneficial about this. I believe this is in German. So what are the main features of this product that it espouses? Throw that into an infographic. And then we're grabbing some check marks. Those check marks are kind of conversion signals, if you will, almost, where, hey, we've got this, check. We've got this, check. We've got this, check. So it can add some encouragement that this is important. Resizing everything to see where that check mark's going to go best to emphasize it. And then we're going to replicate that to each one of these lines. It's really fun to watch things come together. We're seeing this a module at a time. And again, let's pull up that finished product here. So she's building this particular one right here. This is where she's at so far. So she's pretty close to where she's going to end up. Pull that back off screen. Now she's playing with the bleeding on the left. Ended up deciding to let it bleed off the page. Could be some theory behind whether that helps with the eye movement or whether that's inviting you to move from left to right, which is kind of, I think, what she's going for here. Check the kerneling, check the spacing. Make some micro adjustments there. You can see that. Continuing to move it around. What works best to the eye? Where does the eye go? Where's that movement going? All right, so that one's getting loaded. Notice the alt text keywords are being set. Use a full 100 characters every time you load A+ content photos. Each photo can have its own keywords. You could replicate a couple of keywords behind the photos if you want to be repetitive on some. That's fine. But I recommend to try and differentiate as much as you can between photos. Each photo should have its own theme, if you will. So like one photo could be about your brand. Another photo could be about the product. Another photo could be about related products or lifestyle words, adjectives, and whatnot, if you will. So it turns out the video got corrupted, and so we lost the last half of the video editing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you the finished product. So we got from the top, we got this module in. You saw the editing of these individual products. We got this module built, and then finally here, the last part, we made 2 more graphics. And then you go into Seller Central and you load each one of them in, and then you submit it for publishing. It can take up to 2 weeks for Amazon to register your publishing to make it go live. So they don't send you a notification if it's rejected. So you actually have to go back into Seller Central and just kind of check on it. You can see your submission date, whether it was accepted. If it's rejected, they'll tell you a reason. So what I recommend you do is you submit it, check it 7 days later, then check it every 3 days rolling after that. That's what I would do once you submit your A+ content. If you're ready to make a purchase for A+ content, come right on over to myamazonguy.com. Put your cursor over services, go to Enhanced Brand Content A+. We'll put a link in the description of the video. Cost is $500. We will take whatever assets you have and any quality or standard they're in, and we'll make some improvements. You can see some real high quality work that we do when we upload those photos. We take painstakingly pixel by pixel editing, as you saw in this video. We care deeply what the finished product looks like. We've got a lot of other additional finished products that we've loaded, and we'd be happy to help you increase your Amazon sales today. My name was Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy, and I appreciate you watching. Feel free to post any questions about A+ content in the comments.